FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It is August 19th, and it's time for another Triple Lutz Report. This is episode number 471. And it's amazing how many of your emails I get. They're often on subjects that I never expect. And one of them has led me to want to reach out to you, help you to achieve your goals, your dreams, etc. You're probably not aware, but before I started Financial Survival Network, I actually did about 10 sample podcasts, and the name of the podcast was going to be the Daily Biz Coach. And I think I even still own the URL dailybizcoach.com. I've always had a love of entrepreneurship, of starting up new businesses, making them work, and then moving on to the next project. And, well, if you're not familiar with my background, I was an attorney for 30 years, corporate and commercial work, also a serial entrepreneur. I am 4th generation entrepreneur. My great-grandfather on my parents' side, he was a peddler on Orchard Street, Lower East Side of Manhattan, when it was filled with peddlers. On the other side, on my paternal grandmother's side, my great-grandfather was a real visionary. He was playing around with plastic around the beginning of the 20th century. It was really cool. I used to have this plastic rod. It was bakelite, I think. And unfortunately, it's been lost through many moves. But my grandfather, he never really quite hit it. But he had many, many different entrepreneurial endeavors, and he never stopped trying. My maternal grandmother, her family owned a music store in Beacon, New York, and my grandmother had a great voice. She used to sing there. They sold music. They didn't have records back then, where they were just coming out. Eventually, they sold records. So then we go to my grandparents. My paternal grandfather, Philip Lutz, he was the first person to understand that you could bury an oil tank or a gasoline tank and hook up an electric pump to it and pump gasoline into cars. And prior to his innovation, the way it used to work, and you'll see it in very old gas stations, is you'll see huge tanks, 5,000 gallon tanks up on stilts, up on these like risers. They'd be 20 feet high. And the reason for that was so that they could actually use gravity to pump gasoline into engines. So they all told Phil that it would never work, that he was crazy. You know, the usual Wright brothers thing, it'll never fly. He went and he did it and became super wealthy overnight. He was traveling all over New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, installing new gas stations. There was no patent in those days because it really wasn't a patentable idea. It was just an idea. He made a fortune. He was into real estate, stocks, everything else. At one point, he had over 6 figures in cash in his safe deposit box, living high on the hog. And then came the Great Depression, wiped him out. In this day and age, you would have just taken the cash and got out of Dodge. But back then, he believed it was going to turn around. He would be wealthy again. So he paid out all the cash to his creditors, wound up eking out a living the rest of his life, doing a home heating oil delivery and repair service. My mother's father, he was a roofer, and he had a reputation for quality and honesty, delivering the job under budget and ahead of schedule. And Great Depression hit. He was out of work for about 6 months, and then all the government projects started hitting, and a lot of them were corrupt, just ways to steal money, but they had to deliver something. And they picked my grandfather. He was known as Honest Abe. His name was Abraham Fader. They called him Honest Abe. He wouldn't take a penny that didn't belong to him off the sidewalk. And he got really wealthy then. He had hundreds of thousands of dollars that he made in profits during the Great Depression on all of these WPA projects. If you're not familiar with WPA, that was the Work Projects Administration. He was pretty amazing. He managed to hold on to that money. He never really built on the fortune. He never owned real estate. You know, back then, people were scared of banks. After the Great Depression and so many banks fell, there were so many bank runs, and literally the banks went bankrupt, that he just didn't trust them. So he bought government-backed debt, Fannie Mae, Ginnie Mae, Freddie Mac, whatever was available, treasuries. So he always made a 5% return on his money, and that lasted my grandparents their whole lives up to my grandmother's departure. She made it to 94 and always had money, and it was a good thing. So then my father, he took over the home heating oil business. At one point, Exxon, Standard Oil of New Jersey, was the leading home heating oil deliverer and repairer of heating oil systems in the New York metro area. There was an antitrust action, and my father said, oh, business is going to be great once Exxon, Esso, had to divest itself of their home heating oil division. There's one problem. That took 20 years. Finally, my father said, heck, I don't want to do this anymore. Tired of getting dirty, tired of breathing in asbestos, all these things which eventually killed him. And he got into home construction. Timing was off right around the Kennedy era. Kennedy did all these things, knocked the hell out of new home construction and purchase. So then my father got into legal printing, made a fortune doing that. Eventually, my brother and I acceded to that business, and we did quite well till we sold it out to our largest competitor in 1998. So entrepreneurism really is in my blood. Even when I was practicing, I was doing startups, I was trying new ideas, many of which failed, but a number of which were very successful and helped me acquire my own fortune. I always like to say I've made 4 fortunes in my life and lost 3.5 of them. So the last one I managed to hold on to some, which has kept me podcasting all these years. And I get so many questions, and I'm kind of an expert in small business because I've run small businesses, built them up. My distressed debt business was $100 million a year business. That's 6 partners. We all did really well on it. And then came the Great Recession, and I saw the handwriting in the wall, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. I felt it was a negative kind of predatory business. It was legal. As far as I knew, it was legal until the Second Circuit said it wasn't. And it was a good business. It was exciting building it, but I got tired of it because I like to build things. I like to help people build things. And then I got into a bunch of consulting gigs. They were pretty good. And then finally started podcasting back in 2011.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
For millennia, ancient pharaohs prospered from unparalleled riches made possible by Egypt's resource-rich gold deposits. But despite this rich history, modern Egypt remains one of the most underdeveloped gold mining countries in the world. But that's all about to change. Aton Resources is leading the charge on the Egyptian mining revival. As the only public exploration company in Egypt, Aton Resources has first-mover advantage. Focused on their 100% owned Abu Marawat concession, Aton Resources is advancing several exploration targets, including the recent discovery of the legendary Lost Mountain of Gold at Rod Ruin. Learn more about this exciting drill program and other news at atonresources.com. Aton trades on the TSXV under the ticker symbol AAN and on the OTC under the ticker ANLBF.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
So I get a lot of kind of what I call bare bones, kind of basic entrepreneurial questions from you out there. And by the way, feel free to email me, write me anytime. The email address is kl@kerrylutz.com. So recently I started mentoring a couple of people, started helping them to build their businesses. And I found that this was really, really fulfilling to me. And I have a lot of credibility in business in general, having done so much over, really, it's closer to 40 years now that I've really been entrepreneur. I went into the family business at the age of 19, and I managed to finish college at night. And then I went to law school, and I worked full time throughout all of it. And between the legal knowledge and the general business knowledge that I've acquired, it's really been a great ride. One thing I learned using the Dow theory and economic cycles was being able to foresee or predict a recession coming. I was able to take certain steps in the business to make sure that I weathered the storm, that the company would still be profitable, and that we wouldn't be hurt by coming economic cycles. And it was a very successful technique that I used, which I'm more than happy to share with you. So just email me, kl@kerrylutz.com. So I'd love to coach you. I'd love to help you succeed. There's a certain pleasure coming from it because I know that my own success was no accident. Sometimes it felt like it was an accident, but then when I go back and connect the dots, as Steve Jobs would say, I see that, no, actually, I followed a plan. I really made it work, and I know I can help you to do the same. So I know from my emails, there's a lot of you who are aspiring entrepreneurs or considering starting a business. Hey, I'm a marketing expert. I've released new products. I've sold new products, new services very successfully using direct mail and later on using email. I've built this company up from literally nothing to the point where anywhere from 25 to 50,000 of you per month tune into the show. And when I watch what other people are teaching, what they're explaining, I realize that I have a lot to offer, a lot to contribute. I'm more than happy to take a look at your business model. I'll sign a non-disclosure agreement gladly, and I can help you bring it to the next level. Marketing nowadays is a whole different animal than it was back 30 years ago. I mean, literally, I was at the beginning, the forefront of digital marketing. I was doing junk faxing before they banned it, before it became illegal, and generated amazing income using that. Now we have email marketing. I was the first lawyer in Manhattan to set up an email newsletter. I managed to obtain a list of 70,000 attorneys in New York State, and I'd send out my monthly newsletter. It was called Judgment Day, which was actually a way to collect money judgments for attorneys. They weren't really knowledgeable about it. I became a guru in that area with my legal and business background. And I programmed one of the first CRM systems out there, customer relations management systems, that made me literally millions of dollars from my salespeople. I'm an expert in hiring the correct salesperson. That is something that you can't even put a price on. I've been doing sales my entire life. And the other thing is that in programming and learning data, one other thing I did with a friend of mine, my oldest, dearest friend, Jeff, was back in the day, 35 years ago, when you'd run a credit report, you could run it in terminal mode. I'm not going to get into what that is, but it's a very cumbersome way. You had to type in exactly the right keystrokes, or you'd have to start over again. And there was only TRW back then that was online. Then TransUnion came along, then Equifax, then TRW became Experian. Now there's a fourth credit bureau. But we actually created a program on the Apple II Plus that enabled you to download, input a list of names as long as you wanted on the system, dial up on your 4800 baud modem, hard to believe, or 9600 baud modem, and then you could batch download dozens, hundreds of credit reports. This was before there was FICO scores. Unfortunately, I never really realized the potential of that one. It became a multi-billion-dollar industry, the resale of the underlying credit reports for mortgages, for auto loans, for everything else. That was one boat that I really missed out on. The other one was CRMs. I mean, it worked so well. When I got salesmen who wanted to work and they had a good CRM that I created, they'd be able to look up the particular prospect, see all the other cases he had pending, all the other cases that we hadn't gotten, see who he was using, had all this information. And then I hooked it up to an attorney database called Martindale-Hubbell through a CD-ROM. And they were able to look these people up, and the sales just boomed like you couldn't believe. So I feel like I'm in a really good position to help you grow your business. I'd love to be in there with you on the ground floor, taking an idea and really making it work. I love ideas. I love new business concepts. I love doing things that nobody else has done. In one business, I came up with a system for people that had judgments against them. In New York, we could use an electronic system to actually locate their bank accounts. I became an expert in public records research and online research. Before there was even an internet, there were about 15 different public records databases. I would help people to utilize those databases. I used to give seminars on it. I had hundreds of lawyers show up at my conferences all over New York State, New Jersey. It was a lot of fun. So now I've got this wealth of experience, and I stay up on the latest marketing and business methods. When I started a business 30 years ago, there was no QuickBooks Online. There was QuickBooks just coming out, and I utilized it. Now with QuickBooks Online, your whole business, you might have different feelings about the cloud, but as long as you use two-factor authentication where you log into your system, into QuickBooks or whatever online system you're using, and then it sends a code to your phone and you type the code in. Really hard for anybody to abscond with your data or take control of your files. And so it's so much easier now to start a business. QuickBooks, I can show you how to get it. Instead of paying $30 a month, I can show you how to pay $17 a month. Little tricks like that. Buying things, acquiring things for your business, licensing deals, all these things, anything legal, I feel pretty confident at. I've done hundreds of thousands of lawsuits throughout my career, foreclosures I've been involved in, bankruptcies, a number of them. I can show you how to do it. If you've got a company and you got an onerous lease or onerous contract, how to get out of it legally and how to really stop your business from being exploited by others. Tell you how to pick an accountant, how to pick a law firm to represent your interests properly. There's so many ways of doing it now. And, there was never Fiverr when I was starting. Fiverr is a digital marketer's best friend, as well as Upwork and many other different types of websites out there that can really make your job of starting your business and focusing on it much easier. I've used virtual assistants with some success and some failure. I tell you how to do that. All these questions, look, you can Google stuff and find answers, but when you talk to a live person who's had this issue and has solved it or has come up with solutions, it makes all the difference in the world. So here's the deal. I'm willing to take a look, do a free consultation on your business, on your model, look at things. I'll sign the non-disclosure agreement gladly because you can trust me with your secrets. I'm only out to help you and to help you make it work. So it's really simple. Just email me, kl@kerrylutz.com, and let me help you. I've been working with people who have lost fortunes, trying to bring it back and really show them how to do it, show you how to build additional income streams, how to leverage your brand, how to build your brand, how to fortify your brand and make your brand an amazing tool to acquire wealth. You are a brand, whether you realize it or not. I'm a brand. I have several brands: Viral Podcasting, Financial Survival Network, but my brand is Kerry Lutz. And whatever your name is, you are a brand, and you just have to learn the steps, and they're very easy to replicate. They're very easy to do. That's not to say it doesn't take work. It always takes work. But if you get the right coach, the right person to help you build your business, it's a lot easier. I'm a big proponent of working smarter, not harder. Sometimes you have to work hard. I remember I was building an accounting system for our printing business, an accounts receivable management system, or ARMS, ARMS as they call them now. And it didn't exist for my business. And I spent literally about 2,000 hours writing this thing. I didn't do code. I used a database management system and spreadsheets. It took me 8 months to do it. But boy, what an eye-opener. We had roughly 1,500 different accounts that owed us somewhere upwards of $500,000 to $700,000. Within 6 months of implementing that system, our receivables were under $400,000. All that money went into our pockets. Then I was doing networking, but now computers are so much easier because of the web, because of these services that exist. Personal financial management, pretty good at that. I wish I had managed my own finances better, but I did some stupid things, stupid marriages, things happen, but it's all a learning experience. You're not a failure unless you think you're a failure. Otherwise, you're simply on the path to success. We all need help. I had help from a lot of people. My father was a great mentor. My brother was helpful. And other people who I met throughout the years really helped me grow my companies and become successful. It's really hard to do it on your own, especially if this is your first or second entrepreneurial undertaking. You know whether to do an LLC, a limited liability company, or a sub S. What about taxes? How do you minimize legally your tax burden? All these things I've learned over the years. My father was an expert in tax management. You need to think about taxes when you're starting your company. Yes, you don't want to put the cart before the horse and say, oh, when I make $1 million, I'm going to be able to pay less taxes. No, you got to make the million. But while you're making it, you can plan and you can take steps that are greatly going to minimize your tax liabilities and enable you to pass it down to your children when tax-free, basically, when you wouldn't be able to do it. And because your children are there and they're getting passive income, it opens up a whole world of opportunities. I've mentioned this before. I'm ready to talk about it now. And that is, how do you minimize your taxes? How do you basically do things tax-free, especially if you have a lot of passive income? I can show you how to greatly reduce or even eliminate your tax burden, completely legal, because of the new tax law in 2017 opened up tremendous opportunities for you that who knows how long they'll be around. But as long as they're here, if you're not taking advantage of these opportunities now, you are paying thousands and thousands of dollars to Uncle Sam and to your state's treasury if your state has a local state income tax, either on business income or on personal income. Especially if you live in a high tax state, you need to be doing this. There are so many ways that the government puts out there for you to reduce your taxes. So I'm really thrilled to be doing this. I'm looking forward to your emails. Again, kl@kerrylutz.com. Don't forget, go over, take a look at financialsurvivalnetwork.com, my other site, viralpodcasting.com, tell you how to build up your podcast to earn a six-figure income. I've done it. You can definitely do it. It's not that hard. It requires work. You've got to learn a skill. Everything requires learning. Learning requires having an open mind. In many cases, people who've been to college and to graduate school, law school, whatever, are very closed-minded to these ideas. I find that somebody who has a little bit of college, a year or two, can be much more open-minded and ready to succeed. I'll tell you about one friend of mine, barely got through college. He only went to college to avoid the draft. He built up a company. You know the company. He sold it to a major company for a couple $100 million. Pretty amazing. And I'm not saying you could sell your company for a couple $100 million, but I'm saying you can build up a company that produces largely tax advantaged income, pay way less taxes on it, build generational wealth, and really set up your kids. My kids went to really good schools. At the time, I was really cleaning up They didn't have any student loan debt. The best present you can give your child is to get them through college if they're college material, and basically get them through college debt-free. That is a huge, huge advantage in life. When you look at the student loan debt, the fact that you can't get rid of it in bankruptcy, getting your child through college debt-free is a major accomplishment on your part and shows that you are a great parent. And I was a great parent, am a great parent now, great grandparent. There are so many ways to do this. If you got a child of college age, let me help you figure out a plan to greatly reduce the cost of that college. It can be done and still graduate from a great school. Well, that's it for now. I hope you'll take me up on my offer. Again, email address kl@kerrylutz.com. This has been another Triple Lutz Report. Kerry Lutz signing off.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.